What if I told you that 10 Australian towns currently still on the map are projected to be effectively empty by 2050? Not abandoned by a single disaster, but slowly bled dry by youth migration, climate change, and economic obsolescence. Today we identify those 10 towns. Number 1 will surprise you. These predictions aren't speculation. They're built from Australian Bureau of Statistics population projections, CSIRO climate vulnerability mapping, and Regional Australia Institute economic data. The pattern is clear and consistent. A town typically goes through 3 stages before disappearing. Stage 1, young people leave for cities, leaving an aging population behind. Stage 2, schools close, hospitals consolidate, and services move to the nearest larger centre. Stage 3, the remaining population ages out and no replacement arrives. The towns on today's list are at various points along this trajectory, but all are headed in the same direction. As property investors, understanding this matters enormously. Buying in a town on this list is buying into negative compounding. Every year the asset is worth less, not more. Number 10. Cunnamulla, Queensland. Cunnamulla sits in the dry southwest of Queensland, with a population that has fallen from over 2,000 in the 1990s to roughly 1,200 today. ABS projections suggest the population could fall below 500 by 2050. The reasons are textbook regional decline. Agricultural mechanisation has reduced employment. Young people leave for Brisbane and Toowoomba and don't return. Climate modelling shows worsening drought conditions through the 2030s. Property in Cunnamulla can be bought for under $150,000, but that price reflects the trajectory. Investors looking at apparent bargains in towns like this need to ask themselves, who is going to buy this from me in 20 years? Number 9. Wilcannia, New South Wales. Wilcannia was once a major Darling River port with over 3,000 residents. Today the population is below 700. The river itself has been increasingly unreliable due to water extraction upstream and changing rainfall patterns. Without water security, the town faces an almost impossible future. CSIRO modelling shows the Darling River's flow becoming progressively less reliable through the 2030s and 2040s. Property is extraordinarily cheap, but the fundamentals are dire. Wilcannia is the textbook example of how environmental change kills a town. No mine closure, no industry collapse, just water slowly disappearing. Number 8. Coober Pedy, South Australia. The famous underground opal mining town with a population that has more than halved over the last 30 years. Coober Pedy now sits at roughly 1,500 residents. Opal mining is declining, tourism alone cannot support the population, and the brutal climate makes long-term livability questionable. Some climate models project temperatures in Coober Pedy regularly exceeding 50 degrees Celsius by mid-century. The underground living that made the town famous becomes essential just to survive, not novel. Property can be acquired for tens of thousands of dollars, but resale liquidity is essentially zero. Number 7. Tarcoola, South Australia. Tarcoola was once a critical railway junction town in the South Australian outback. As rail technology evolved and freight patterns shifted, the town lost its purpose. Today fewer than 50 people live there, and projections suggest near total abandonment by 2050. Property here cannot meaningfully be bought because the market doesn't really exist. Tarcoola illustrates how infrastructure shifts, not natural disasters, not climate change, can quietly kill a town over decades. Number 6. Marble Bar, Western Australia. Famous as one of the hottest inhabited places on Earth, Marble Bar's population has been declining for decades. The Pilbara mining boom briefly stabilized it, but automation in mining operations is reducing the need for local workforces. Projections suggest Marble Bar could fall below 100 permanent residents by 2050. Climate modeling shows temperatures becoming increasingly hostile, with heat waves above 45 degrees becoming more common. Property values here are tied entirely to mining employment, and that employment is going away. Number 5. Lightning Ridge, New South Wales. The black opal capital of the world. Lightning Ridge has a current population around 2,000, but has been declining for years. The opal industry is mature, mining is becoming less profitable, and young people aren't entering the trade. ABS projections suggest the population could halve by 2050. Tourism provides some support, but not enough to reverse the trend. Lightning Ridge is interesting because it has genuine character and a unique culture, which gives it some staying power. But character alone doesn't sustain a property market. Number 4. Maryborough, Victoria. Maryborough has been declining for over a century since the end of the Victorian gold rush. While not as dramatic as some of the towns on this list, the trajectory is consistent. Young people leave. Industry has departed. The hospital is under pressure. Population modeling suggests Maryborough's population could drop below 3,000 by 2050, from over 7,000 today. Property is cheap by Victorian standards, but the fundamental drivers of value are all heading the wrong way. Number 3. Andamooka, South Australia. Another opal mining town in remote South Australia, with a population that has fallen from over 600 to under 400 in 2 decades. The mining is winding down, the climate is hostile, and isolation makes service provision increasingly expensive. Projections suggest Andamooka may fall below 100 residents by 2050, putting it in genuine ghost town territory. Number 2. Burra, South Australia. Once a major copper mining centre, Burra has survived through heritage tourism, but the underlying population trajectory is grim. Current population is around 1,200, projected to fall to under 600 by 2050. Young people leaving, aging population, limited employment options, and competition from larger regional centres all conspire against it. Property here is more affordable than in most of South Australia, but the fundamentals are weak. And number 1, the Australian town with the most alarming population trajectory. White Cliffs, New South Wales. White Cliffs is another opal mining town, this one in remote western New South Wales. Population peaked at around 4,000 during the boom years over a century ago. Today, fewer than 200 people live there. ABS modeling suggests White Cliffs could effectively cease to exist as a functioning town before 2050, with only a handful of permanent residents remaining. The opal mining that sustained it is fading. Climate is brutal. Isolation is extreme. Services are minimal. White Cliffs represents the ultimate warning. Towns don't always die in a single dramatic event. Sometimes they die through one resident leaving every 6 months for 30 straight years until nobody is left. If there's one core lesson from this video, it's this. Real estate is not a magic asset class. Property only appreciates when the fundamentals supporting it are getting stronger, not weaker. A house in a town with declining population is not an asset. It's a liability with a roof. Yet thousands of Australian property investors every year buy cheap properties in declining towns because the headline numbers look attractive. They lose money slowly for 10 years, then can't sell when they want to exit. The most important question in property investment is not what is the price today. It's what will the population, economy, and infrastructure look like in 15 years. If you cannot answer that question with confidence, you are not investing. You are speculating. 3 free tools every property buyer should use before purchasing in any regional Australian town. First, the ABS Census Data Explorer. Look at population change over the last 3 censuses. A consistent decline is a major warning sign. Second, the Regional Australia Institute's reports and trend data, which provide professional analysis of regional Australian economic and demographic trajectories. Third, your target town's local government area economic strategy documents, which are usually available on council websites. These documents tell you what the local authority is planning, what challenges they anticipate, and what investments are being made. If a council's own documents read like a survival plan rather than a growth plan, that's a clear signal to look elsewhere. 10 Australian towns on a trajectory toward extinction by 2050. The common threads: youth migration to cities, single industry dependence, climate vulnerability, and aging populations with no replacement. As a property investor, these places might look cheap. They are cheap for a reason. The asset is depreciating, not appreciating. If you found this useful, hit subscribe. We break down Australian property data every few days. And if you want to see 10 Australian cities that are absolutely booming right now, click the video on screen. See you next time.